Hi everyone, this is Cameron, and I'd like to welcome you to Into the Movieverse. Today, me and the guys will be discussing Disney's latest animated movie, Turning Red. Turning Red is a coming-of-age story based around 13-year-old Mei Lee, and it is set in 2002. The story follows Mei Lee as she deals with adolescence and, due to a curse, turning into a big red panda whenever she feels strong emotions. Watch as she tries to balance following in a path set out by her overbearing mother and becoming her own person. Expect to see a couple of throwbacks to a time before smartphones and social media. With that out of the way, let's dive right into the discussion.
I found it a chore to watch. It was just from the start, I didn't really keep my attention. They start off introducing you to the characters, so you meet the girl and her friends, and even from then I was just like, well, you don't really have much going for you, do you? Just following your mum.
Deep. Yeah, but it was meant to be like it's meant to be about the whole theme of like coming of age, in it. So even though it's about like a female coming of age, there should be things in there that are relatable to like all of us. You know what I mean? I found parts of it relatable, and like obviously, the idea of like not necessarily being like mirror copies of your parents, and finding your own path, making your own decisions. Those kind of themes resonated with me quite strongly.
Yeah, I always found that whenever I got emotional, I turned into a big red panda as well. So,
Oh man!
You mean you just turn? You mean you just turn red, bro?
That's it, man.
You just turn red, like. Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think where Cam's coming from. It's hard to relate to a movie that isn't really. It's hard to relate to the movie because it's not the specific struggle that us as men probably go through. I think this is more targeted towards females, but there are some obviously similarities in obviously pleasing your parents and all of that. But I kind of with Cameron in that this movie wasn't really for me. But I didn't watch it over 4 days like him. But I watched it all in one go. But I was like, going to the time of thinking like, oh, is this movie? How long's it got left? How long's it got left?
Yeah. So what was the actual story saying?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Ruben. I was waiting for someone to like actually kind of give no, just someone to give us an overview basically just of the movie, so we have kind of an anchor point. So obviously the protagonist, her name is Mei Lee. She's I think she's like 13 or basically in her pre-teens. She's a Canadian Asian girl who's basically brought up in this Asian household, who's made to follow these traditions of her culture, mainly worshipping these pandas, like taking care of this like ancestral shrine of some sorts. She's brought up by a very, very strict I don't know how else to say it, but helicopter parent. You know, one of them type helicopter parents who's basically just literally on her kids' back everywhere. Just follows her everywhere. Do you know what I mean? She's a very overbearing mother, and you can see that there's a lot of influences from the creator, because obviously the whole thing with the boy band, growing up in the 90s, being into like the Backstreet Boys, or this kind of imitation of the Backstreet Boys. So you can tell there's a lot of inspiration from the creators themselves, and I think that's what gives the film its charm. That it's very, what's the word? There's an authenticity to it. And for me, the best thing about it, obviously we'll touch more on this, is the animation is just very cute. Like it's very sort of, how do I put it? Just like bouncy. It's got that anime kind of quality to it, whilst also having the quality and the state-of-the-art technology that Pixar brings to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's the only kind of good thing about the movie. Like the rest of it, I'm right there on board.
There is a lot of personality to the animation.
There's a lot of personality, great.
Is that they focus a lot on like facial expressions, all the funny facial expressions that Mei Lee would do just made me laugh so much, because there's a lot of like, I think as you said, it's inspired by anime, and anime they've always got their over the top expressions, that kind of stuff. They really went into that and then had a lot of fun with that, which made me have fun with it as well. So while I couldn't like relate to the story and stuff like you guys have mentioned, I could kind of still enjoy it because of the wackiness of it all, and kind of just enjoy what I was saying with the panda and the cuteness of it.
I mean, the animation in this film was brilliant. As you can see, all the strands of fur and everything, and it looked amazing. Just
I think the problem is Pixar is a victim of its own success because I just expect that now. I just expect animation to be brilliant so it doesn't get a lot of marks for you because they always do it. So it's like if a movie didn't have that, I would like knock off like half the marks straight off off the bat if you ain't got good animation now, because we're in 2022. So that's probably more of the fact that we've been spoiled in how good that the production of animation has gone in where we are. So, but yeah, you're right. I agree. The animation was amazing, and I do. But I think it's always amazing from Pixar. I can't remember the last Pixar movie I've seen where the animation was shit.
I definitely feel like it's gotten better. Like I definitely feel like they brought like a much stronger A game in this one, especially with obviously like the action sequences towards the end. That was like amazing, man.
Yeah,
I was getting hyped in my seat when that stuff started popping off on screen.
Oh man, that was sick. That was sick.
It was good. I admit that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess you could say the story was quite two-dimensional in that, like, you know, thinking about the story, there's not much to say about it other than, you know, the main character's on a journey of self-discovery to try and she starts off trying to cure like the family curse, and then she ends up discovering that actually she wants to be her own person, and keeping her, you know, her panda spirit is part of that journey, not just following in the footsteps of her mother. So I think like there wasn't much of a on-screen journey, so to speak. So it does seem kind of two-dimensional and short, condensed, if you think about it that way.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You can literally sum it up in a few minutes.
For sure, yeah. It's a very, I mean, the theme is very clear. I think that's one, again, another strength of the movie. Obviously, you know, the coming of age, kind of becoming your own person, being a rebel, and sort of, you know, learning to have a backbone, have a spine. That's kind of her journey. My issue with the film is that the stakes are so small. Like you're basically watching this girl and her friends save up money to go to a boy band. It's like there's nothing. She's got really nothing to lose. Even like I thought the biggest like sort of conflict with this is that she can't control her emotion. Well, she can't control the whole panda turning thing because it's linked to her emotions. But within, I think, like half an hour minute of,
she was an expert.
She could control it like at will. It's like okay.
The biggest kind of stake was that, you know, the more she uses the panda ability, the more likely she's going to be stuck in that form forever, and she's going to get like taken over by it, isn't it? So I guess she was abusing it so much that towards the end of the movie, you're expecting that it's going to be a really massive struggle for her to kind of get back her, in quotes, humanity.
But the thing about that, the issue with that, Ruben, is she enjoyed being a panda, and she was actually doing it to gain from it, like her being a panda.
And she was in complete control of it.
Yeah, she was in complete control of it.
And she struggled to turn back to human or anything.
Yeah, she was using it to make money in order to accomplish the goal, which was to see the boy band. So, like, they didn't depict the whole panda as being a negative thing. If anything, the panda was something that was actually aiding her in her quest to, you know, reach her goals. So yeah, there was no real conflict, obviously, apart from with her mother and her mother and grandma. I just couldn't. It's a very, as you were saying earlier, it's a very niche movie. It's targeted towards like young teens.
It's a rebellious teen movie. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think they could have raised the stakes a bit because I thought what they were gonna do is that when she went to that party, that she wasn't going to be able to turn back to human after that because she had abused it so much, and that was going to be the raising of the stakes. Well, it didn't seem to happen. Really. She just threw her friends under the bus to please her mother, and that was it. Basically, it was. So yeah, it didn't really seem like the panda was that big of an actual issue.
There was a bit where she lost control, like she got really angry, and then the kids started getting scared of her. But that didn't last long because after a while it just fine. So yeah, they didn't really do much with it, but I think they tried to go somewhere, but yeah, it didn't really pay off.
Maybe they were just playing it safe, like
I mean, it's sort of effective in the go offline anyway, so.
Also, I think just one little pet peeve I had is that how the hell did they keep this red panda a secret the entire life?
Exactly.
How did every woman in that family turns into a red panda when they reach their teens?
Especially
no
one
one ever
that
mentions
the
it.
building.
You know what I mean? Like, no one's ever spoken about it. No one talked about that time that big red panda destroyed.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
none of the family members
This-
mentioned it. The fact that they kept this a secret is the biggest thing. I was like, one, it's a big move from the mum. It was like, why wouldn't you tell your daughter that at some point when puberty starts, you're gonna start turning into a panda when you get emotional?
It's true, yeah. No, I was wondering the same thing. And the excuse is that, oh, we didn't think you were ready. It's like, nah, that's BS.
Yeah, so-
Like she wasn't ready because you didn't make her
What do
ready.
you mean? It's not like there was an exact time when it happens.
Yeah.
It just says when you become a woman, which is hella vague.
And I don't believe that they had the skills to calm down the mother when she turned into that 10-foot panda, because it took 5 of them.
The best
You know
part.
what? I guess what I found kind of more funny, but again a bit kind of like, you know, a slap in the face, is that they spend all this time speaking about how, you know, they really want to seal their panda spirit, but then at the end of the movie they all break their pendants, just like, let's just break these things. We'll make new ones tomorrow, and we'll make new ones tomorrow, but the whole thing was meant to be like, you get one shot at this, like
It's really hard.
clearly not like
They're like, let's stress how important this thing is to you know, eradicate the pandas, and then let's just do a complete 180 at the end, because why
Because
not?
they did actually say typically you only get one chance.
Yeah.
yeah.
Although, to be fair, that could be them just over exaggerating it to make sure that the girl goes through with the ritual. Because it seems like, and also because they didn't mention how often a red moon actually happened. Because it just so happened that the red moon was happening next month, but
Just so
happened what? Because if it happens like every month, then I don't see why this is such a big deal. Just ground her for a month and then stick. But it seemed like the red moon is like maybe a once a year thing, or a once a. It seemed like they never really specified, so it was hard to gauge how often the red moon actually happens. And
I just want to ask one thing, how do you guys feel about this 13-year-old girl twerking at her mum towards the end, as like a middle finger, and like her mum's reaction is like, oh please, she's like, oh, it's like,
I mean, the movie definitely had me like busting up laughing at numerous times. I mean, like I thought the characters were all pretty funny. Like especially, I can't remember like what her name was. That girl, Abby. Like her expressions on screen. You know, the little panda.
The Korean one or the Indian one?
The short one, the one that was in pink.
Korean.
Yeah, the Korean girl. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She had me creasing up like most of the movie, bro. Like,
no, the facial expressions were really funny. I think this is like made by like one of the Pixar artists that did that short with the bow buns. Yeah, exactly. And I was watching it behind the scenes.
Was that before the Incredible movies? Was that before the Incredibles 2 movie?
It was, because it was a Pixar short. It might have been, but I think it was like it's like a you know, when Pixar was still doing the shorts before their main features.
Okay.
Yeah, so she did this one where like this old lady, she basically she makes a bun, and it grows up to be like a kid,
and it becomes a child.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like a real child kind of thing.
Yeah, and like, you know, she's actually a really talented creator, but I feel as though, you know, this didn't really tick the boxes of what you expect from a Pixar movie. This was a bit too kind of coming from one, because like, you know, usually Pixar movies come from, like, you can tell a team of people have worked on it, as in different voices, but this feels like it's like from one person's sole perspective.
A specific target audience.
A specific target, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a must.
And I think that that's its greatest strength, but its greatest weakness as well. And that's the only thing. Obviously, it's very alienating to people like you and me, who this doesn't really appeal to at all.
Yeah, and I make sure to remember that when I am critiquing a movie, is that I am not really the target audience for it, so I can't, like, obviously ask the movie to be something that is not. So I do temper my criticism of the movie too. So I think that for its target audience, I think this movie probably will resonate a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's that.
So we've covered basically characters, story, Casting.
I actually don't know too much about the casting because I think it's just for people we don't really know. I think.
Yeah, is it? Is it?
Sandra Oh is the mother.
Oh, okay, yeah, she's really good. She's actually good.
The woman from Killing Eve, I believe. So yeah, she done pretty good. Yeah, I think the casting was good. I don't know most of the characters like you guys, so I can't really speak. But yeah, all the characters seemed very likable. To be fair, even the grandmother in the end, like even when they were trying to help the mother, and it seemed like they did convey that the mother, even though she wasn't trying to be, she became what her mother was to her.
Sure.
In terms of being overly overbearing and over demanding. So that again was one of the.
I guess that's maybe another target audience, I suppose, not just like teens, but I suppose maybe mothers, parents.
Yeah, I think it was a great
that kind of thing.
It was a great deep dive into like psychological effects of like strict parenting as well, because obviously it sets up the mother, her Mei Lee's mother, as the antagonist initially, and then over the course of the story you see her in a new light. You see obviously what she went through. She was sort of made to feel pressure from her mother as well, and that kind of made her into the person she is. So I did like that aspect. I just feel like it wasn't really explored enough, if that makes sense. It was kind of like they rushed over it. Yeah, they rushed over it towards the end.
She was overbearing parent with no backstory as to why, really.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nation.
Another thing I think they kind of touched on really like kind of briefly but didn't pursue was the whole kind of just like assimilation thing, because there were numerous points where like the mum was kind of like making faces or like making remarks about like her friends, which I assume is because of the kind of the cultural clash. She kind of had like an assumption or bias towards what she thought her daughter's friends were like, and again that was kind of like they sprinkled it on top on screen. I was like, oh, are they gonna go there? And then it was just like
they're
not
gonna go that too deep. There was one particular friend she didn't really approve.
Oh man,
that was deep, bro. The bad influence on my daughter, bro. The bad influence, bro. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I found it quite interesting as well that they didn't actually bring in any of her like the other girls' like parents to kind of see like what their kind of upbringing was, to kind of actually see, because you don't really get like an insight into the culture differences of your friends. You know what I mean? Usually they would put in like a snippet to kind of see how the cultural conflict kind of clashes, but they didn't have any of that. They kind of just left it 100% up to her mother's assumption of what she thought her friends were like as bad influences. But yeah,
the only glimpse you really even got of it was when they said they asked their parents for the tickets and the answers that they got. Whereas the two Asian girls, I was like, they just said no straight up, you're not going. And the other one said, yeah, you can go, but you have to pay for yourself. Just the slight difference in culture there. We're like,
yeah. What did you guys think about the role, if any, of the father in the movie? Do you think the role was like rightly kind of diminished, or did you think he was literally just there to show it was the nuclear family?
I think it was a realistic dynamic. Obviously, when you have someone who's like an overbearing mother like that, who's very controlling, you're gonna obviously on the opposite side of the spectrum, you're gonna have the dad who's very laid back. Very passive, and obviously gets walked all over. But it showed that he wasn't completely useless. Like there were times when he was actually, picking up Mei Lee, and I don't know, just like kind of supporting her as well. So I didn't have anything bad.
He knew when to step in.
He knew when to step in. Yeah, he knew when to I'm totally out of my depth here. So I'm not even gonna try and intervene.
Because I don't know about this random panda stuff.
Yeah.
You could see us.
Oh man.
The first time you got panda, he fully dipped.
Yeah, you can imagine like.
I don't know about this red panda stuff.
Oh man, I actually felt sorry for him in a way, because like you can tell he's just getting it from all angles, like from the mother-in-law, from his wife, from his sisters-in-law, the aunts. Man, like he's one of them ones that just stay like works extra shifts at work, just to not come home and have to deal with that PS.
Oh wow, just that struggling father, bro. The real hero,
come
bro.
home in peace. That's what I cook dinner and just watch the TV.
That's it, man. Without dealing with this panda nonsense.
Did you guys see him in the end credits scene? He's like dancing to the. I don't know if you guys bothered going to the end.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Didn't get that far.
Didn't get that far.
More with him and the daughter stuff. Because like a father-daughter relationship is quite special, so it would be nice to explore that a bit more. But I guess they didn't want to put any more into it, and I know Cam would more minutes.
I kind of just feel like maybe they didn't go down that route because of who the target audience was. Maybe I kind of got the sense they didn't want to put too much emphasis on a male character fixing all of the problems of the movie. Because remember, his like the conversations he had with his daughter, although they were really, really minute, they were quite like they had a lot of depth to them, but they were quite short. And he was the only person in the family who was just openly accepting of his daughter through and through. And like you said, Lo, I thought they would have explored that a bit more, but then I just feel like they didn't want to, let him kind of like steal the show with, this guy's coming in fixing all the problems. You know what I mean? Like that's the impression I kind of got.
The point of the movie was the dynamic between the mother, the grandmother, and the daughter. And,
yeah.
And I wanted to really focus on that. Although, even though the father did have the biggest impact in terms of he was the main reason why she decided to stay as a panda. He said, you don't have to push it away. It was what he said that made her stay to embrace the panda rather than reject it like all the other family members did.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't really know because he doesn't have a panda himself, so he doesn't want to know what it's like. So it could have been a very bad advice.
There's a bit discrepancy as to when he met the mother as well, because he said she was still turning to a panda when they knew each other. Obviously.
Yes, I imagine they met each other in school when they were like teenagers, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That was the assumption I got. And he saw that shit and thought, I'm still with you. So he was happy to embrace the 10-foot panda. So his daughter turned into a little
Probably a relief. It was a relief, bro.
He was
this ain't so bad, bro. The house is still intact. It's not so bad.
That's it, man.
I thought we were gonna produce like a Godzilla type panda.
It does raise a lot of questions. That 10-foot panda does raise a lot of questions. But to be fair, it's it's very symbolic of like how overbearing she is as a mother. Like she's literally like a kaiju, just in her life, just constantly.
Yeah, but they were saying that she was that size as a child as well. So.
But then, again, like, you would have expected her mother to equally be something of formidable because it was all about her, obviously, almost being a reflection of her mother. So I guess one thing they didn't explore as well, rarely is, or clarify, is how the forms of the panda are affected by the personality of the person it inhabits. So I think that's something they really could have explored, and I guess not to make it like shown in anime or anything, but looking at how their abilities differ as well, like between each character. I think that would have been pretty cool.
I think that's it's such a boy thing to want to look into that. Like,
you're asking for too. I think you're asking for too much, Ruben. This is not for you. I'm sorry, you can't be asking for that stuff. It wasn't made for you.
I generally think
it's what I wanted, bro. When I saw her like double jumping and air jumping at the end, I was like, "This is technical, bro. Like, it's pretty cool, bro. Like, she's double dashing in the air. She was double dashing in the air, bro. I was like, you know what? When the game comes out, I'm cropping this, bro. Like,
I wanted to ask though quickly, how do you guys feel like they accurately represented the time period? Like, were you pretty conscious that you were in the this was set in the 90s? Because for me, I wasn't really thinking about, like, obviously when they started playing with the Tamagotchis and that, I was like, oh snap, this is actually in the 90s.
Yeah.
But
because maybe I missed it, but I don't remember them actually specifying what time period they were in. So I only noticed it was like, she played with a Tamagotchi.
That's what I was wondering. I was like,
because obviously, I don't know why they had to do it in that time period, because obviously if they did it in this time, that red panda thing's a global sensation.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram and all that. So they had to do it in a time where phones were
keeping
like,
it on the wraps.
Yeah. Because although to be fair, the destruction that caused that, I don't know how you keep that under wraps, because like her mum destroyed a fucking stadium.
That's it. That's still front page news, man. That's still and it like where there's like loads of cameras during this concert, no less, as well. Do you know what I mean? So that stuff definitely would have got captured and like spread around, but it is what it. It's a Disney movie.
They went into it at the end, didn't they? Because now they freely go. She freely turns into a panda to kind of get people to the temple, all that kind of stuff. I don't think. Yeah. So I think after that stadium thing, there's no way they can hide.
Also, do you know what? What happens to the panda spirits after they get separated? Because I was getting the sense that the panda spirit was almost like its own separate entity. So do the other ones just like
seem that way?
Like it kind of seemed like it was a bit deep, like just trapping these potentially intelligent spirits in just like orbs, and that's a lot of suffering, dude. Like,
yeah, I felt bad as well because when Mei Lee tried to get out of it, you saw how scared the other one looked.
Yeah, and it was like reaching for her and stuff. I was like, it's kind of dark, man. Like.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted to go down that route because obviously, it seems a bit messed up. So, but it was a bit weird that they included that, like making the panda look all sad when they were separated. I was like, although you could say that was just a reflection of her own sadness. If you wanted to give a caveat to that, so it wasn't a separate spirit; it was just a reflection of her own sadness.
Well, no part, no.
Interesting.
Separate part of it. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so you guys want to get to final thoughts? Or is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Much else to really say.
Yeah.
Cool.
What? Just like straight up like ratings and final thoughts.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go first then. I think for me, I'll probably give it a. Oh, actually, no, maybe not. Do you know what? I'll give it a 6. I think I was going to go into a 7 when this talk started, but just kind of reflecting on kind of how two-dimensional it was, I'll bump it down to a 6. I think the main thing that keeps it, at 6 and not getting it any lower for me was just the animation. Specifically the ending fight scene that hyped me in my seat. That done a lot of work for me on screen. Like especially those double jumps and air dashes, bro. I was like, this is sick, bro. Like the angling, the fight scene, animation, that just kind of blew it away. If they had made that the focus, or like a main focus throughout most of the movie, like. I know. I'm just saying, if they had made it like a movie about her, going to the temple, training to take out maybe like arch nemesis, or maybe even take out like an evil panda spirit, I would have been cool. I would have given you 9 out of 10. I would have given you 9 out of 10, but they didn't. So yeah, it gets a 6 from me, I think. Fun movie to watch, really funny, and visually pleasing on screen. So, but yeah, not much in the story.
I'll go next then.
So what was your 6 out of 10?
6 out of 10.
All right, cool.
For me, I'll give it a 5. I was going to give it lower, but I know it's not targeted at me. I'll leave it as broad average because the animation was great, and I understand for who it's targeted at, the story might be intriguing, and the fight scene at the end was really good. But aside from that, I just trying to keep my attention on it. It was a struggle.
Yeah, 4 days.
Took you 4 days to watch it.
4 days.
What? Okay. No, but I could see why that would, because I didn't watch it in one go either. So yeah. All right, who wants to go next? Should I go? Okay.
I can go next.
Oh yeah, you can go next.
So I can. I'm gonna go kind of like a different direction. What Ruben said, where he said that he wanted to delve into like a little adventure in all that. I actually quite like the fact that they didn't go that way, and it just focused more on like her teen kind of problems and relationship stuff like that. And they used the whole turning into Red Panda in a funny metaphorical way to kind of show her issues and problems and finding herself. So I kind of like that. It wasn't like a big adventure that you would expect, but it was more like the story that the writer wanted to tell, which is about I think what she probably experienced as a child, all that kind of stuff. And I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, I enjoyed the animation, the facial expressions. I had a lot of laughs. I knew 10 minutes in that's not going to be something that I can relate to, so I kind of switched my brain off in that kind of aspect, and I just would enjoy it from a point of view, from what they, I think, the story they wanted to tell, So in that aspect, I'll actually give it a 7 out of 10 for me, because I actually quite enjoyed the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, I guess, Laura, you want to go last? Okay.
It's up to you, mate.
Yeah, okay, I'll go. So yeah, so basically, I just want to start by saying, yeah, really love the animation on this one. It just has that charm which comes from, I can't remember the name of the director, but basically this is her style. She has that kind of cutesy sort of anime inspired type of animation, type of art, which is really cute. The facial animations are great, all on point. The problem with this movie for me, as I said earlier, was basically the pacing, because like it starts, obviously you got the introduction, and then the movie just, it kind of introduces all the characters, sets up like the time period and all of that, and you think you're in for like a fun movie. It's going to be like a enjoyable sort of adventure, but then the pacing just slows way down. They kind of drop the whole panda issue for this boy band element where they're trying to like save up, and it just becomes like a montage of things happening, and you're just kind of like looking at the time. It does pick up towards the end, but I think it just loses that what's the word? It loses that kind of pacing, that momentum that it should have been like. So the story structure was just like problematic for me anyway. But yeah, I did enjoy the ending. Ending had some good qualities, but it was just too little, too late. So I think overall I'll give it probably like a 4.5. Yeah, 4.5 out of 10. But yeah, animation's great. I'll definitely look up the concept art on that, but I'm not watching it again. So
yeah, probably similar to Pete and Cam. This was a bit of a chore for me to watch, I ain't gonna lie. Most of the movie was obviously it's just not directed at me. The fun elements that you're talking about, where they weren't really focusing on the panda, they're focusing on the teenage girl stuff, like saving up for a boy band and all that. And I imagine that the target audience may enjoy that. Obviously, I didn't. The animations were great, although I don't really give Pixar much credit for that anymore, because I just expect it of them. That's probably more of a me problem than their problem, but suffice to say, yeah. So I think the story was pretty basic, but I did like the animation, the voice acting I thought was great, and I thought the ending scene was pretty good as well. But overall, this was a boring movie for me, and I wouldn't watch it again. But I don't want to be too harsh, so I'm gonna go with a 4.5 as well.
Thank you for taking the time to watch our review of Disney's Encanto. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you at the next review. Thanks guys, bye.